We'll now call the regular meeting of the Upshur County Commission to order. We'll begin with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll have the reading of the minutes of the October 18, 2012 Upshur County Commission meeting.
The County Commission of Upshur County, West Virginia held their regular meeting at the Courthouse Annex on Thursday, October 18, 2012 at 9 a.m.
Thank you.
Donnie Tenney called the meeting to order. There were present Donnie Tenney, Commissioner, Creed Pletcher, Commissioner, J.C. Rafferty, Commissioner, William Parker, County Administrator, Megan Pomeroy, Assistant County Administrator, and Jacqueline Dinklocker, Secretary. The meeting began with a moment of silent meditation and prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. All motions passed unanimously unless otherwise stated. After reading of the minutes on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Creed Pletcher, the Commission approved the regular meeting minutes of October 11, 2012 with typographical corrections. Student representatives from Upshur County Elementary, middle, and high schools, as well as representatives from local law enforcement agencies and various civic organizations, appeared before the Commission for the presentation of the Red Ribbon Week proclamation. Tyler Boyce, Buchanan Upshur High School student, read the proclamation. The purpose of the proclamation is to raise awareness of substance abuse and solicit involvement from individuals, business and service organizations, schools, churches, and law enforcement to participate in ongoing initiatives for the prevention of substance abuse. Tanya Zikafus, Buchanan Academy Elementary School counselor, provided an update on planned activities and themes for Red Ribbon Week. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Creed Pletcher, the Commission approved and authorized the Commission to sign the Red Ribbon Week proclamation designating October 22, 2012 through October 26, 2012 as Red Ribbon Week in Upshur County. Priscilla Peggs, Women's Aid in Crisis representative, appeared before the Commission and presented the Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. The purpose of the proclamation is to encourage community vigilance and participation to reduce domestic violence. After discussion on motion by Creed Pletcher, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved and authorized the Commission to sign the proclamation designating October 2012 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Upshur County. William Parker provided a review of the organizational reporting structure for various departments of the Upshur County Commission with administrative point of contact listings. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Creed Pletcher, the Commission approved the reporting structure as submitted. William Parker provided a review of the quote from Kreitz Electric for materials and installation of a 20 kilowatt generator at the James W. Curry Library. The addition of the generator will enable the library to be utilized as an emergency shelter for area residents and provide a place for cooling/warming in the event of a power outage disaster as occurred in late June. After discussion on motion by Creed Pletcher, seconded by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the quote. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, seconded by Creed Pletcher, the Commission approved and authorized the President to sign the grant application with the West Virginia Development Office in the amount of $4,000. The grant to the Upshur County Historical Society will be used for repairs and improvements to the French Creek Historical Presbyterian Church. William Parker provided a review of the grant agreement process for funding of community participation grants from the West Virginia Development Office. The Commission discussed prevailing wage requirements and requested Mr. Parker to obtain certified payroll information from the vendors working on all grant projects for verification of compliance. After discussion on motion by Creed Pletcher, second by J.C. Rafferty, the Commission approved the resignation of Douglas G. Simons, Deputy Sheriff, effective October 11, 2012. Donnie Tenney provided an update on the recent County Commissioners Association of West Virginia meeting and discussed cost reductions regarding incarcerations and/or alternative solutions. Megan Pomeroy, Assistant County Administrator, has been appointed to the CCAWV Regional Jail Committee and will be coordinating with various local agencies to review current procedures for best possible alternatives to maintain accountability and control expenditures. The Commission reviewed the following for your information items. Number 1, Regional Jail Cost Information. Number 2, Upshur County Sheriff's Monthly Financial Information. Number 3, General County Fund Financial Information as listed. And number 4, Aggregate Report for Medical and Prescription Fiscal Year Cost. Number 5, NACO Prescription Drug Discount Card Program Report. Number 6, Monthly Home Confinement Report, September 2012. Number 7, Monthly Dog Warden Report, September 2012. Number 8, Monthly Feline Activity Report, September 2012. Number 9, Upshur County Communications Center reports as listed. Number 10, Agendas and/or notices of meetings as listed. Number 11, Meeting minutes and/or financial reports as listed. Number 12, Meetings as listed. Number 13, appointments needed or upcoming as listed. The Commission discussed the progress of repairs at the West Virginia University Extension Service Upshur County office. Delays in pricing quote complications have risen due to not being able to match the existing stone. Terry Jo Bennett presented a road name request. After discussion on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Creed Pletcher, the Commission approved Ms. Bennett's recommendation of Cherry Hill Lane for the private driveway off of Old Elkins Road, as required per Upshur County 911 addressing and mapping ordinance. The Commission approved all invoices for payment. The Commission approved all vacation orders. The Commission approved the following settlements as listed. The Commission recessed at 11:30 a.m. At 1:30 p.m., the Commission reconvened at the office of the Upshur County Clerk for inspection and testing of election equipment to be used for the November 2012 general election. With no further business, on motion by J.C. Rafferty, second by Creed Pletcher, the Commission meeting adjourned at 3:30 p.m.
Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as read? Not, I'd ask for a motion to be approved as such.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
No same sign. Motion carries. Okay, we have Joyce Harris Thacker, Upshur County Family Resource Network. Step right up, Joyce.
Morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for having me here today. And I want to begin by saying that I don't normally wear camo to the County Commission meeting, but it is be the best you can be, all you can be. Camo Day with Red Ribbon Week, as you all well know. So I wanted to start out by making that declaration that we're throughout this week supporting our children. And so anyway, it's fun. Yesterday I had my pajama bottoms on. I tried not to go in and around town too much. People looked at me really funny and said, yes, I have my pajama bottoms on. The kids loved it. Many of them ended up at Stockert yesterday, had their pajamas on. And
do you have the type that have the feet in them, Joyce?
Huh?
Do you have the type of pajama bottoms that have the feet?
No. Okay. But, you know, it's fun and it really drives home a great message. You know, when I was in and around, some of the moms even saw and said, oh, you've got your pajamas on too. And, you know, they're going to remember these things when they get a little older. And I know that it makes a difference now in how they feel when they see community leaders and their teachers and school administrators and willing to participate to bring a message that, you know, you can have fun and you can have a great life, and that can all be drug-free. And, you know, we know it's just the opposite otherwise. So. And And I'm here this morning, and it has to do with substance abuse prevention. And so I'm here to request your all's participation in this substance abuse prevention and treatment block grant. This grant, and Upshur County FRN is a sub-grantee, and the grantee is the Harrison County Family Resource Network, and it involves 13 counties in Region 4 as designed through the Governor's Drug Task Force. It's directly aligned to the Governor's Drug Task Force, and attached to the community coalitions. And of course, our coalition is UCARE. And so it is a totally reimbursable grant. It is not a grant like you all participated with us in the past with the SPIFSIG grant, which was a full grant that you all were the grantee for. This one's reimbursable, and the portion that it's a $10,125 grant for a 9-month period, and we've already gone through one of those months, so it's really basically 8 months. And I want to distribute to you all the statement of work that I have been charged to overseeing, and as I will be the project coordinator here in Upshur County. And with that $10,125, we can take 50% of that and no more than 50% or less, and use with personnel. And then the other 5,000, which is what that would be used for our forums, our programs, implementing research-based programs into the schools or into our aftercare, or our community forums, which we will have, and our activities with our students. So what I would be asking you all to do would be to participate in the personnel fiscal part of that on a reimbursable basis, which I know that you all do in many other instances with grant funding. So that would be my request, and we'll work out those details if you approve that with Willie, and once a recommendation is made for that part-time person who would be, in my estimation, helping with our youth part of our programs through UCARE, SAD Club, NYLI. We have, several of those organizations that, it won't be a lot of time for that person, maybe no more than 10 hours a week, but anywhere between 5, 8, and 10. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there's no admin in this grant for me. And I'm charged, and once I share the statement of work with you, it just adds, and I participate in a lot of that, just adds more to my plate. And any amount of, a few hours a week to assist with, some of those programs, and being able to, help make things happen. They don't just happen. There's a lot of work that's involved, with setting up a fall activity, for the students, or during prom, prom promise, or the pool parties. And, as, Amanda can attest, she's on our UCARE committee, coordinating all of those efforts. And because there's so many willing partners, and you all are one of those. And, to bring all those together to make some really good things happen that can change the lives of our children forever, just by giving them alternative activities. So anyway, I know I'm rattling on a lot, but I'm going to give you the statement of work and let you take a look at that, and then ask for your all's
I think it's important for you to explain to Joyce, for the viewing audience, viewing citizens,
Yes.
so they understand what the goals are and the activities are.
Well, there's no problem adding another one, is there, Willie, to the part-time list of those that we run through the county?
No, that,
It's a pass-through, so.
When will this program start, Joyce?
Well, it's already started. And I was this week, actually, our first meeting for the region was September the 27th, and then I had to report, for the first 3 months of the quarter, which we didn't even participate in, but I was required to make a report, which we had a lot of stuff going on, and I was able to do that. So the 1st of October, it has begun already, and I was in 2 meetings already this week, a full day in Clarksburg, and on Monday, and then Tuesday evening with the Governor's Drug Task Force up in Morgantown. So all of those meetings are required for me as far as, some of the goals and objectives that are outlined in the statement of work. So,
You have someone lined up for this position?
well, I have made a couple of contacts, and as soon as we solidify that, I will get with Willie and see what the process would be for someone,
Are you on track to make the December 1st guideline for the town hall?
Yeah, I hope so. And I can tell you a little bit what I hope that plan is going to look like for the form, excuse me, that will be coming up. I can tell you that our students are participating on Monday morning, and that's middle school students, at City Hall in a mock death and a mock trial that's being facilitated by the Buchanan Police Department. And that it will involve a death, maybe 2 deaths of students, drug-related. And our U-Care discussion, and that's part of our U-Care meetings, which are monthly, are all part of the scope of this grant. And it all falls in line with what we do every week, every month, with our activities and whatever we're doing for substance abuse prevention. But anyway, my goal, and U-Care talked about this at our last meeting, would be to that scenario that's going to unfold at City Hall on Monday to be chronicled and then presented to the community, as before real life hits. This community needs to take a look at, and hopefully it'll be very powerful. I can't imagine that it won't be. And then be able to present that to the community in a form. And, I've been, thinking about how I'd want to, have that set up in the scenario for presenting it to the community, inviting parents and community leaders to view, what the students have done and that the leaders have helped to facilitate. And, I think it could be very powerful. In the past we've had bath salt summits and things that we may definitely consider as well. But, we need to have conversation and with the community, and we've done that in the past, but it's been like 3 or 4 years ago. The whole means of substance abuse has changed dramatically since that time to see what we think the issues really are. Prescription drugs or the synthetic drugs or underage drinking. They gave us on Tuesday the statistics for all of the counties, and Upshur certainly is one that we're concerned about. We're concerned about all of West Virginia, but, it's just startling, Sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. You still have the basic drugs, alcohol, tobacco use, all of those, are ruining the lives and the futures of our children. And we need to do, as a community, everything we can do to stop it.
Does your report you're talking about give the statistics based on different types of drugs? Why don't you give us that for Upshur County? I think that'd be good, informative.
Can I make copies?
Sure.
They gave me this full report on Tuesday evening.
Does
but
that have
they
the
didn't-
breakdown in Upshur? Why don't you go ahead and read
Yeah.
just Upshur?
Oh, Donnie, it's very,
I mean, does it not just give, does not give the incidence of alcohol and prescription drugs and illegal, is that how it breaks down? or-
yeah, I mean, but it's like 5 pages of, gives the demographic, gives the health conditions,
How
gives
does it determine
behavior,
the usage
risk
of-
factors, alcohol, tobacco, other drugs, homelessness, and then goes into domestic violence as well, suicide, psychological distress, it breaks it down. One of the things that I questioned when we broke up into groups there the other night was, and in particular, the first one that I saw was alcohol and binge drinking, and or the risk and protective factors, and it was pretty startling. And I said, well, who surveys that? I have a hard time. I'm charged many times with doing surveys, collecting information, and there is just no good collective data. You have a group here doing a survey and have a group here, and it's really hard to capture. Now, if you have arrests and those types of records and the State Bureau of Statistics, that you can get things like that, but when you ask and you have statistics on binge drinking, I said, who does that? Who does that? And they had us listed with 13 other counties, and one of them being Berkeley, Hampshire and Mineral, and I said, why are you grouping us with those counties? Now, if you grouped us with the 13 that are in this region that were part of the grant, I can understand that, but we don't have anything in common. They might not have even had statistics on Upshur County, but they lumped us with those 13, and then they're able to produce this document. And, that's part of the things that I have problems with sometimes, is that, you're writing for a grant and you have to have data, and, they may give it to someone that I think is old data. It has to be approved data. It may be old by the time you're able to use it, but it is what it is. And
how did they say they received that data? What was their method for receiving the data that they used in their report? Did they say? Did they do surveys like in?
They said it was a survey, a national survey on drug use and health, and a sub-state region, and they included us in Barbara Berkeley, Grant, Greenbrier, Hampshire, Hardy, Jefferson, Mineral, Morgan, Nicholas, Pendleton, Pocahontas, Randolph, Tucker, Upshur, and Webster. And, but that's what we have to work with. And I'm sure it's not like that in all of the areas where it's broken down with the data. That was just the one, and that was the first one that really caught my attention because of the type of survey, binge drinking. If it was arrests, something that's really, you're able to, have good hard data on, I mean, that's one thing. But, I know when you're doing surveys of things like that, and I know, and if you look at it and it's directed towards the youth, they have statewide through the schools surveys that they're doing now, so that it's much more accurate, I think. They capture what they're looking for, but I don't think that's what it was. It wasn't youth related. So anyway, I would be happy to make copies of this and really check to see if they're going to provide this for us. It's probably on their website. I haven't had time to look at it, but likely it's not. It's on the website, and I'll be able to print it off and give you all this and get the other information.
Well, it'd be interesting to
On the
know what
website.
the statistics are for Upshur County on the different things they survey.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
What is it? What's the like on the binge drinking, is it a certain percentage of the kids say they do binge drink, or is it a percentage, or?
It was for, yeah, now as I look at this, 06 to 08, persons 12 years of age to 20 years, binge drinking in Upshur was 15.9%, as opposed to the state of 17.9. And of course, as you go through this, many of the places were above the state average, you know, and below in some. But, pretty startling statistics. I mean, when you get, you're close to 1 in 5, you know, 12 to 20 years of age.
What was the one that was the highest percentage?
One thing that looks to be really high is the risk and the protective factors, perceptions. Then when UCARE did a survey, you know, several years ago, that was the one thing that was just very clear to us, that the perceptions of risk, you know, didn't hurt me, you know, this, you know, parents or adults, you know, when I was your age,
Alcohol,
you know, so
especially.
Yeah, so that perception in Upshur County, it was 41.6%. You know, that
That it wasn't a problem.
that it's not
Right.
not a risk, it's not a problem. The perception,
Was that on alcohol?
yeah, yeah, perception of great risk of having 5 or more drinks of alcoholic beverages once or twice a week among persons 12 years or older. So,
Well, the perception of that and the reality of that's a regional jail bill. They may perceive it's not a problem, but
anyway,
It's also
you know, when
reflected, I think it's also reflected in, you know, Upshur County having a high dropout rate at the high school. These factors all
oh, they absolutely
lead
do.
into
They,
that.
they absolutely do. And I brought along, I'm glad you mentioned that, JC, invitations to our destination graduation forum, which will take place next week, next Tuesday evening, October 30th, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at Chapel Hill Church. We would invite everybody to attend that, to become involved in graduating our students. You know, our county is one of the highest, if not the highest dropout in the state. So we are being very proactive, and we're asking the community to get behind us and come and become involved. Because yes, without a doubt, you know, it all ties together. There's no doubt in my mind that there are students that are dropping out, and would be my belief that could, you know, involve drugs or alcohol. Risky behaviors, you know.
what is the dropout rate in Upshur County?
I don't want to say. I'm afraid I will get it wrong. I know that.
There's a couple different ways they do that. They
Well,
say-
yes, and the graduation rate, you know, dropped significantly when they made them change the way that it was rated, and it had to do, and so I know, and we're going to deal with that on Tuesday night to make certain that people understand that drop that particular year, you know, was because of the way they made them look at that. Here in Upshur County in particular, not all the counties do that, so our rates look like they were
Regardless,
worse.
it's too high. Regardless of the number,
Yeah,
it is
too high. I know last year, I mean, we had 35 students that had dropped out. And I hate to give you a wrong statistic, you know, sorry that I didn't bring that with me, but I will leave these, and I would invite everybody to come and be a part of that. as well as, moving forward with the community forums that we're going to set up that involve drug abuse and prevention of drug abuse. So would ask the community to become involved. We've had tragedies in the past, and we would like to do everything possible to not see our community go through that again. And it helps everything that we do, to bring awareness and to do all we can to prevent our young people and our adults from abusing drugs, and just messes up their lives.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Joyce. And do we have a motion that we honor Joyce's request to provide payroll service for a temporary substance abuse prevention grant employee?
So moved. I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Got
for
your
efforts.
desire.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. You can get us a copy of that, your statistics there, or we can make copies of it, Joyce.
I will. I promise.
Okay, all right, we have a proclamation, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. You ladies, are you both coming up, or? Come right on up and you can read it. You did such a good job last year, we'll let you read it again this year.
And the year before.
And the year before, and the year before.
Probably the year before.
And next year.
So
Right.
thank you for allowing me to do this, because it's very important that we get the awareness out there, because a lot of people are on their deathbed before they even realize they have pancreatic cancer. During the month of November, Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Upshur County, West Virginia. Whereas in 2012, an estimated 43,920 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 37,390 will die from this disease. Whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the deadliest cancers, is the fourth leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and is the only major cancer with a 5-year relative survival rate in the single digits at just 6%. Whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer presents themselves, it is a late stage, and 74% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first year of their diagnosis, with 94% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years. Whereas approximately 1,188 people will be diagnosed in West Virginia, including 13 in Upshur County. Whereas the incidence and death rate for pancreatic cancer are increasing, and pancreatic cancer is anticipated to move from the fourth to the second leading cause of cancer death in the U.S. by 2020, and possibly as early as 2015. Whereas the federal government invests significantly less money in pancreatic cancer research than it does in any of the other leading cancer killers. And pancreatic cancer research constitutes only approximately 2% at the National Cancer Institute's federal research funding, a figure far too low given the severity of the disease, its mortality rate, and how little is known about how to arrest it. And whereas the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network is the national organization serving the pancreatic cancer community in Upshur County, West Virginia, and nationwide through a comprehensive approach that includes public policy, research funding, patient services, and public awareness and education related to developing effective treatments and a cure for pancreatic cancer. Whereas the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network and its affiliates across the United States support those patients currently battling pancreatic cancer, as well as to those who have lost their lives to the disease and are committed to nothing less than a cure. Whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Upshur County, West Virginia are enacted as a direct result of increased awareness about pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatments. Therefore, be resolved that the Upshur County Commission designate the month of November 2012 as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in Upshur County, West Virginia.
Do we have a motion that we approve the proclamation as read?
I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
2 weeks ago, I attended the funeral of one of my longest-standing friends over in New Jersey who was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer just a little more than a year ago. And it is, he died too young. He's a good man. He was a retired school teacher.
Oh, my.
And,
My nephew was 38 years old. So, and they didn't find it out till they did a PET scan in Morgantown. They took out his appendix, his gallbladder, and they still didn't find it. So, like it says, it's usually too late by the time they find it.
in his case, he was having back pains. And when they diagnosed him, it was stage 4.
Right. Jimmy did too. Severe back pain, and nothing
Right.
helped it.
Do you like to get a picture? Proclamation?
Thank you.
Okay, our next scheduled appointment is at 2 o'clock with James Bryson Van Ostrand with Van Ostrand Architects to talk about cost allocation for the E911 project. So we'll move on down the list. First item is approved submission of records preservation and management grant for the benefit of the Office of the Circuit Clerk.
You have a separate packet on that document, and Megan and Brian worked on that. It's a continuation of the current grant that he has as it relates to records that he's getting digitized, and then, which is not included, that he will be including in the grant packet requires an estimate. He's supposed to be providing that, and then also the purchase of a cross-cut shredder, which is included in the grant application. He's asking for $10,000 of grant funds. The total project's just in excess of $14,000.
Okay,
I make a recommendation that we approve that.
all right, we have a motion to approve, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Approve Upshur County's financial statement for fiscal year ended June 2012.
That did not make it from the office of the county clerk. That's not finalized yet, so we'll be
That'll be on
putting
a
that in a future agenda.
future agenda, okay. Okay, we'll move down to approve employment of early voting clerks. We have a list here that is provided by our county clerk. Please approve the hiring of the early voting clerks: Beatrice Adams, Irene Andrew, Nelda Light, Anna Wentz, Judith Miles, Catherine Fry, Beulah Riffle, Margaret Neely, Philip Murphy, Betty Hebner, James Vance, Catherine Vance, and Janet K. Wilson. The positions are temporary, starting October 24, 2012, and ending on November 3rd, 2012, at the rate of $7.25 per hour. That's a request from our county clerk. Do we have a motion that we approve that request for those individuals at that rate of pay for that time period?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is authorize ACH withdrawals for retirement and other contributions for Public Employees Retirement System, PERS, and Deputy Sheriff's Retirement Fund, DSRF. DSRF. Is this so that we don't have to write checks anymore? They just take it out of our account? Is that the purpose?
That would be correct.
Okay. We're getting automated around here. So do we have a motion that we authorize this request?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Recommend to get you carpal tunnel syndrome.
Sign all those checks.
Sign
Still,
checks.
it's probably going to be a lot of checks to sign. But we're working toward that. Next item is authorize president to sign grant contract and related documentation related to the Community Partnership Grant for $4,000 for Warren District Volunteer Fire Department. And that
That's one that I've been asked about by various volunteers in that department a number of months now. What's the status of that grant?
That would be correct.
And now we're signing the contract to go back to Charleston, and the purpose of that is to make improvements to the garage and parking lot of the Warren District Volunteer Fire Department. So do we have a motion that we approve and authorize the president to sign the documentation for this $4,000 grant?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is resignation of Jamie Queen as the worthless check clerk located in the magistrate clerk office as of October 18th, 2012. Any questions or comments on that?
Only that I would hope at some point they can change the name of that position, because there must be some other name we can call the person occupying that besides a worthless check
I
clerk.
guess you could call it the bounce check. clerk.
Something, it's a rather demeaning title, the word.
Worthless check.
But a necessary job, certainly.
Have a motion to approve this resignation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Employment of animal control officer. Do we have a recommendation from the interviewing individuals?
Yes, you may want to finish out the agenda because I would like to go over that with the commission just to make sure everything's okay in executive session before I make that recommendation.
Okay, we'll move down to 8, approve moratorium through January 1, 2015 for changes to current road and other street names with an effective date of October 25th, 2012. And you might elaborate on that, how that complies with our policy.
The ordinance calls for a 2-year moratorium once the project of postal conversion has been completed. They are on as far as I know, the last zip code, the Buchanan zip code 26201. Possibly a couple of small ones in the edges of the county, Crawford or something like that may need to be finished up, but those are very small. But they're on the last zip code, and this will allow for everything to be finalized, excuse me, as to names and for a 2-year period at least before the changes can be authorized. Unless it's an extenuating circumstance, then the commission always has the authority to deviate from the ordinance in extenuating circumstances. But if routine, normal, run-of-the-mill day-to-day operations, it would be a January 2015 before a road name could be changed. And we realize that for some zip codes that may be a month or two longer than 2 years, and for the 26201 it may be a month or two shorter than 2 years, depending on when they finish. But we wanted to pick an easy date that was easy to remember for everybody in all zip codes.
This is for the convenience of the Postal Service because it allows their employees to become familiar with the new names, the new addresses, the new routes that they must use in the delivery of the mail in the rural areas.
As well as the 911 services.
Correct.
Because once that name changes, then it's amazing the number of agencies and organizations that we're required to notify.
Emergency services primarily.
Yeah, that becomes, an issue with many groups.
Well, and this is the second moratorium we've had. Then we have a 1-year moratorium on changing, was it state highway?
Once it was, on the submission to the post office so they could start the process.
Right. Okay, any questions on this? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve this moratorium.
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Second.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Item 9 is just on the agenda. It's a continuation in case you want to review anything later on in the day.
Okay.
On property books.
Okay, that looks like that's our agenda items, unless someone has something else. What, you might give us a report on the Curry meeting yesterday, Mr. Parker?
We talked about some projects, ongoing projects up there. Of course, the estimate was approved for the generator. They're in the process of obtaining some estimates for a backhoe attachment to the tractor they have. It'll probably be in the neighborhood of $9,000 for the John Deere tractor they have. So that'll be coming to the commission, and they're working on getting a equipment storage building installed, and that was to be delivered to site on middle of December. The site's been prepared as it relates to the ground, the site selected ground being leveled, a couple of obstructions removed, and that's going to be in the parking lot area next to the small pavilion to the left of the library as you're facing the library. And then the next regular meeting will be in February time period. We've delayed the regular meetings until then due to the lack of activity, and if we need any special needs, we can call a special meeting. But the next regular meeting will be in February.
And how did we do about what we talked about, moving the meetings around in the past year? Did we have one at Stockford?
No, we had a couple here,
Okay.
and that was it. We tried to schedule one at the school, but that was conflict with school schedules. Most of them are being held at the library location.
I think we just discussed it and said just for ease of operations of employees at the library, it was easier for us to meet there.
They will be getting the names together of people that expressed an interest to be on, because we do have a vacancy right now that are interested in serving on the board.
So has the generator been installed yet?
No, I just faxed that estimate.
What's their? We approved that 2 weeks ago.
I just approved it last week.
Was it last week? What's the installation?
Middle of December time period.
Oh, really?
End of December, 1st of January, before they can get it on their schedule.
I think that's a real good price for that generator with the installation.
Did we, in conjunction with this, did we inform them that they had to pay prevailing
I
wage?
sent that information, faxed that to them. Yes, I did.
I didn't realize it was going to be that long. We could have some winter weather up there between, that's what,
Between now and next week.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Talking about the hurricane coming up the coast. If it comes in the mid-Atlantic, Delmarva area could impact us in terms of rather severe weather they're predicting.
So 2 months, at least 2 months before it's installed?
Yes.
I didn't realize it was that long. We might have had our people to do it. If it was going to be that long, I was not aware of that. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to, Rick, to give a little report there on the number of children and adults using the wellness complex out there, and which area they're using, which area of the field are they using the most.
Focus the camera on the podium there if you have it.
That's right. Well, thank you for asking, Creed. I actually drove out there yesterday, and it was being very utilized. There was at least 30 cars out there. You had a small group of soccer and the football players out there, so it really looks like that they're having a good time, and a lot of open space out there for that. The road's still in great shape, and the field looks great. There hasn't been any like 4x4s out there or anything like that. So I think as the word gets out and the other sports realize that there's space now for them to go out there and play, and I bet even baseball and softball can get out there and practice. You don't have to have necessarily the whole field, but when you're talking about basics of sports, you can get out there and still shad some balls and do some pitching out there. But thank you for asking. But I might ask, and I was going to ask if I could speak anyway. I noticed in your agenda minutes on the Upshur County Development Authority minutes of course, what's being called the committee, Community Center Committee, and I noticed that Mr. Rafferty and Mr. Creed were at the meeting of the Development Authority, and I'm just curious to know, I see that they're trying to push for a YMCA here with Randolph County, and I'm curious to know where perhaps, if you can enlighten us and the citizens on what the next step is with the old armory.
You use the word push. I don't think there's a push on that, Rick. I believe that based on the statements by Steve Foster, they're just making inquiries at this point as to the feasibility, and it may be determined at some point that that's not a feasible possibility. I think it's just trying to determine what, if any, facility, what if any man of those facilities can be used once they come in possession of the county.
Well, and here's some of the confusion, and I do get to speak to a lot of people about this, because the YMCA in the community center has been discussed before, and the amount of money that would take to actually do that, and how much it actually goes out of the community on that basis with perhaps any affiliation with another group. My question would be at this point then, and I don't think a lot of the citizens of Upshur County understand what happens when the new armory is actually functional, and what's going to happen to the old armory, and who has what there. There's a lot of people that don't know if it's the county, if it's the city, now that there's a new annexation. How does that work? If you might enlighten the citizens, that might help.
Well, the original agreement was that the county would secure the property, and we've been paying the interest payments on the property in Brushy Fork where the new armory is going to be built, and hopefully the USPFO and the maintenance center, with the understanding that once that was built and the armory and or the USPFO was released, then that would be sold in order to pay for the property, because the property's not been paid for. We've just been paying the interest on it. So either it's sold, or if it's utilized for something, then someone other than the county then will assume the responsibility of the payment for the property, whether that's the city or development authority or whoever. But once that property becomes available to be sold to pay for that property, then that's when the county's obligation ceases.
Reduces our debt.
Right.
And I understand that aspect, and that's kind of, we benefited from that, of course, because we got the wellness complex out there that we just got through discussing, and that extra property. What I'm more concerned with now at this point, and I know there are a few other people, is the old armory. Now, according to what I'm reading here, and they're using the word "we," is it the Development Authority that has that property? Will they have that property after the National Guard is gone, or?
Well, I think it's in their it's in their name.
That's in their name.
It will be titled, the old armory in the original agreement, the property at Tennerton, for whatever moves, eventually, if everything moves, everything will be titled in the Development Authority's name. That allows the Development Authority to sell the property, develop the property, work with the community to develop a community center,
Okay.
whatever the case may be. But as it relates to there's a $1,475,000 loan out in the Development Authority's name that will require repayment. And the original plan is to sell the property at Tennerton, some or all of it,
Right.
to retire that debt. And then if it's used as a community center, or whether it be, YMCA or just whatever group, or if it's unaffiliated community center, then there'll be some necessary funds that will have to be raised to offset the selling of that property.
So if I'm understanding then right, if there's a group of citizens that really want to have some input, perhaps, into what may be done with that property, particularly if it is a community center or whatever, we would need to get in touch with the Development Authority, or perhaps attend one of their meetings to discuss that?
Yeah, I would communicate with Mr. Foster if there's an individual or group of individuals, whether it be organized or an ad hoc committee,
Yeah.
what ideas or plans you would like to see, what funding options that the group's willing to explore or assist with, and to help accomplish that goal.
Thank you. That's all I need. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else?
We did, as you gentlemen are aware, receive notification that the Supreme Court did enter a decision as it relates to the David Taylor and Michael Kelly ongoing election contest. Just a brief review for the individuals that may not be aware of it is there was a petition filed October the 3rd for expedited relief, which was granted, and the county commission found that it was brief through their counsel on October the 19th, but the petitioner, and I'll just read from the decision, says the petitioner filed this election contest to the commission's certification on the ground that Michael R. Kelly, who held the position of Chief Deputy Sheriff of Upshur County, was ineligible to be a candidate for that office by virtue of provision in West Virginia Code 7-14-1584 that prohibits a deputy sheriff from being a candidate for public office in the county in which he or she is employed. The petitioner states that since he received the second highest number of votes in the election, he should be declared the winning candidate and have his name appear as the Republican candidate on the ballot for the general election. The Upshur County Commission held that as a Chief Deputy Sheriff, Mr. Kelly was not subject to provisions of West Virginia Code 7-14-1584, and because subsequent to the primary election, Chief Deputy Kelly withdrew as a candidate for the sheriff's office, a vacancy was created in the Republican Party nomination for that office. On appeal, the Circuit Court affirmed that final order of the County Commission. We need not decide that issue. Regardless of whether that statute provision applies to the Chief Deputy Sheriff's, petitioner is not entitled to the relief he seeks here. Our case law is clear that the disqualification of a candidate with the highest number of votes does not intune to the benefit excuse me, of any other candidate. And they cite a couple of cases, Hardin versus Heckler in 1992 and Depew versus Matthews in 1898, where two parties are opposing candidates for the office of sheriff. The one receiving the highest number of votes for the office disqualifies himself from holding the same. Such fact does not confer any interest in the office excuse me, on the party receiving the minority of the votes cast at the election. There, as here, the petitioner was not entitled to be certified as a nominee for the office. The Circuit Court order was affirmed and upheld, thus the County Commission's decision was upheld.
Okay, anything else?
Appointments needed are upcoming. You have about 7 past dues. I wonder how we're staying on that.
How many of them are ours and how many of them are other agencies?
I know we're making, Alicia Hazard made contact, I think, with the Board of Education as it relates to the Park Board. You have 3 vacancies on the Rec Board. Well, 2 the appointments are up and 1 vacancy for an unexpired term. You have some Curry Advisory Board appointments that are expiring in December and 1 current vacancy. The Region 7 Planning Development Council appointments all expire at the end of December. We have a vacancy on the Upshur County CVB board, the tourism representative. We have Building Commission representative that's expiring in November the 10th. Civil Service from the County Bar Association, that's at the end of December. Law Enforcement rep on the Enhanced Emergency Telephone Advisory Board. I'll have to follow up there. I don't know what their recommendation would be. Solid Waste Authority, I'll double check. That's probably been appointed by the Soil Conservation District. That's an appointment they made. We may have just not received notification, so I will check on that. But we do have some ones that are currently past due.
Well, we'll see if we can't get those confirm, so next week we can get all the past due ones except Curry. Not going to meet till February. We've got some time on that. But okay, anything else? If not, then I would ask for a motion that we enter into executive session for, according to West Virginia Code 698-4, for discussion of personnel for employment of animal control officer.
I was waiting for my husband to come. We wanted to talk about the armory, where they were building it, and, to make sure that the flooding, if there's any flooding at all, wouldn't affect our property on Russian Fork Road. That's all I wanted to ask.
Okay. Well, that's something the Corps of Engineers can answer. We're not privy to what they're going to do there as far as the land preparation. Either the architect, probably the architect would be a good one, Omni Associates. We can get you their contact information
Please.
where you can contact them.
I wanted to make sure I came here first in case later on they say, well, you should have went to the commission.
Right. Well, they'll be able to give you that information as far as what they're going to do and whether they're going to fill or not fill or cut, or we'll get you the information.
Because they had said that where the floodplain was, they were just going to make it into like a parking lot.
Right. That's what I understand, that any area that's in the floodplain will just be a parking. There'll be no
Right.
construction. So
But I can't bring my arms up any higher. If the water comes.
Okay.
I spoke to Steve Foster yesterday after your inquiry, and he indicates another individual also was making inquiry about that. And he indicated the Corps of Engineer would be the proper agency to speak with.
And you'll get me that information?
We can find out the name, yes, we'll get that to you.
God bless you. Thank you,
Okay.
that's all I wanted.
We have a motion to enter into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.